And as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. By joining and participating in this session, consent is being given to the recording. Please keep cameras off per NOAA Privacy Act statement. All right. So for the fire weather summary, we have indicated for Eastern Washington extreme conditions for today. We're not going to be seeing extreme conditions over the entire part of Eastern Washington. We'll get more into the depths of where on the next slide, but definitely some big fire weather concerns today, and also some elevated concerns over North Idaho due to the breezy winds, and also some isolated thunderstorms for the northern panhandle. For tomorrow, Tuesday, we're going to see dry and breezy conditions across Eastern Washington. That will combine with some lower RHs across Central Washington. And then it'll also continue to be windy with some morning showers over North Idaho. Fire weather concerns decrease as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then dry and breezy conditions on Saturday will bring a return of some elevated conditions. Now I'll pass it over to Brent to talk about the west side.
All right, so we have a little bit of a reprieve from our warm and dry from yesterday and over the weekend, but we'll get right back into it Tuesday, and that will last through Thursday on the west side. Wednesday looks perhaps to be the warmest and driest, although some locations may be may be on Thursday instead. We're just looking at some of the different high elevation valleys and things, but warm and dry starting Tuesday. We're looking to see if there'll be any strong enough winds for that. We're not seeing that yet. Wednesday, I probably could have used hot. It's, for some of those as well, but also we're going to introduce some more unstable conditions, and so we are flirting with red flag criteria, and so we are looking deeper into whether we should have fire weather watches out for potentially Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and I don't know if it'll extend into Thursday or not, but definitely elevated and approaching critical weather there for at least parts of the west side, mainly kind of the southwest interior, and we'll show you on some trend locations, more details on that. Back to you.
All right, sounds good. All right, so here is the today's impact graphic, and where we have the extreme painted in today is for the Okanagan Valley, where we have a high wind warning in effect with gusts up to 60 miles per hour with the frontal passage this afternoon. And then we got critical conditions over some of the neighboring zones there over the Okanagan Highlands down to the Colville Reservation. And then we also have critical conditions over much of Eastern Washington. Elevated conditions over the North Idaho Panhandle, as well as the adjacent parts there of Northeast Washington. It's going to be very windy in those areas as well, but the RHs will be recovering quicker due to some shower and thunderstorm activity over the area. And then we also got some elevated conditions in the Cascades. Now, one thing I really want to highlight here is a strong wind shift that's going to occur, with winds starting out of the west and southwest, and then becoming north to northwest with that cold front passage. The general timing of that looks to occur between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. over northern Washington. So in this general area, 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And then as you get further south onto the Waterville Plateau, the upper Columbia Basin, the Spokane area, in this general area, we're looking for that wind shift to occur between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. So that is, so we'll definitely be keeping a close eye on those conditions today. And here is a look at the current satellite. Yesterday, we had a low over northern British Columbia. So in the past 24 hours, it has moved south quite quickly. And that's going to continue to be dropping towards the south and east, and is the culprit for the for those strong winds coming later today. All right, so I'm going to zoom out of this now and go to our fire weather dashboard items. For the hazards, we have so many different highlights out, ranging from heat advisories to red flag warnings to high wind warnings to wind advisories, that I'm not going to go into the specifics of every single highlight here, but we use that impact map on the previous slide to kind of highlight that. Going into the weather tab here, here's the forecast temperatures today. Still warm on the east side, but not as warm as yesterday, with high temperatures generally in the 90s. Minimum relative humidities, though, are still going to be quite dry in the 15 to 25% range across much of the region. And here is those forecast winds, with the winds really picking up with that cold front passage again. Here's our forecast peak wind gust through this evening. And over these wind barbs here are the wind directions, but for Bonners Ferry and Sandpoint and Coeur d'Alene, the winds are going to be more out of the northeast as the winds come down with the front in that area. But over eastern Washington, the wind directions are going to primarily be out of the north and northwest. But again, with the exception being out of the northeast over the North Idaho Panhandle. Chance of wetting rains with this low dropping down, we're going to see an increased chance for showers and thunderstorms, and so the chances of wetting rains are quite high in Bonners Ferry and over parts of Pend Oreille County, and about a 35% chance for Sandpoint. But for most of eastern Washington, we are not expecting much in the way of precipitation. Here's the chance for thunderstorms, with those best chances again being over far northeast Washington and the North Idaho Panhandle. All right, moving on to tomorrow. Temperatures will be much cooler behind this front, with highs only in the upper 70s and even a low or upper 60s there in Sandpoint. But over central Washington, it's still going to be warm with highs in the mid 80s. And if we look at the minimum relative humidities, it'll be dry. And we did recently just update the forecast in the past 2 hours to lower these RHs across central Washington. So that was a change since the issuance of the fire weather forecast. But the RHs are going to be quite a bit higher tomorrow over North Idaho. And then looking at the winds will shift out of the north to northeast on Tuesday. Moving on to day 3, and for day 3, it will be dry. You can see there's actually not much of a difference between the west side and the east side, and I'll let Brent talk more about that for western Washington.
All right, so yeah, if you saw, even on Tuesday, we start drying out and warming up again, but by Wednesday here, we're really quite low, and not just in kind of the Cascade Valleys, the coast and most of the coastal mountains will not have that low of RHs, but you get into the southwest lowlands and the Cascade Valleys. And I think, so the Cascade Lowlands are at least in the southwest part of the state, and that's matching up with the heat advisory there, but it's going to be drying out as we try to get a thermal trough building north up out of California and Oregon and into the area. And could see some, at least in the mountains, even below 20s, we could see some upper teens in some locations. Certainly not the widespread, but a lot of widespread in the 20%, 20 to 30% range. And that could linger even for another day. So that's kind of the areas that we're more concerned about, because we haven't seen these low relative humidities a lot this year, and this will be an extended number of days with that. So that will be the issue there. And then combining that with a mixing height, not as big a deal on maybe for Eastern Washington that maybe sees this more frequently, but we're going to get above our 7,000 to 8,000 foot mixing heights, and that's kind of one of the targets we're looking at for the possibility of unstable conditions with those RHs. So that's one of the reasons for Wednesday we're looking at the potential of a dry and unstable fire weather watch. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, so that is for what I wanted to point out on the dashboard. As far as the QPF goes, this is a little bit higher than what I showed yesterday. The chances for wetting rain again have increased some for fire weather zone 700 over northeast Washington and the northern part of zone 101. And there could even be a little bit of shower activity across 699 and 701, but the amounts are expected to be lighter in those zones. All right, now moving on to the trends, and I'll pass it back over to Brent to talk about Chehalis there. You may be muted.
Sorry. All right, start again. So yeah, I wanted to give an example from the lowlands because we don't often see that with the fire weather concerns, but you can see the temperatures from today ramping up, peaking on Wednesday, but still warm on Thursday and even Friday, although as we get towards the end of the week and the weekend, there's a lot more uncertainty that will be the case. But definitely the driest days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Even in the Southwest, we're flirting with reaching 20% RH. Fortunately, as you could look at the winds, they are not very strong, at least in the forecast right now. And then if we go to up into the Cascades here in the Southern Cascades, you can see at Cosmos, even drier conditions, again, especially on Wednesday. And we'll see temperatures reaching into the mid 90s with that, particularly on Wednesday as well. And then just a slowly edging off of that, will still be warm, but not quite as warm as we go into the later days, and the drying conditions will slowly moderate, although still fairly reasonably dry, staying in the 30% at least for a couple more days. But again, the winds, as you can see, are not getting very strong with that. So that's all I have for those.
All right, and for Eastern Washington, I'll go ahead and show Kramer, since that's kind of the hot spot where we have the extreme conditions today. See those winds really picking up, and these are the sustained winds getting up to that 35 to 40 range with RHs around 25%. So definitely a concern that if there are any fire starts in the Okanagan Valley today, that the fire conditions can be extreme with the rapid rate of spread with those warm temperatures, low humidities, and very windy conditions. And then moving on to North Idaho, I'll show Bonner's Ferry again, which shows the major cool down heading into tomorrow from the mid 80s today to the mid to upper 60s tomorrow, with a significant increase in relative humidity. But also you can see with even there, they're going to have that big increase in winds as we see that frontal passage in that area. So that's definitely still a concern, because those winds are going to occur before a lot of the rain does. So that is still something that we'll be watching. And then you can see temperatures warm up as we go through the middle to end of the week. And then for the 8 to 14 day outlook, it is favoring increased odds for warmer than normal temperatures and around normal precipitation. And one last thing I wanted to show, and I didn't have it ready, so give me just a second here while I see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. Let me bring this over here. So this is, I wanted to, again, highlight the timing of that wind shift today. So this is one model depiction with kind of the higher end gust potential. And you can see these wind barbs this afternoon. are primarily out of the west and southwest, but they're starting to turn out of the north. So that's at 1 o'clock. And if I go forward in time to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you can see those winds really coming down the Okanagan Valley, but still out of the west-southwest in the Spokane area. And then as we go into the evening, you'll see those winds start to pick up and shift. Whoops, sorry about that. You'll see them pick up and begin to shift out of the north. So again, just really want to highlight the timing of that wind shift as we go into the evening hours and the impact that could have on any ongoing or new fires. So with that, let me go back to here. I will stop the recording